What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Dollar Sports Pod. My name is Sammy HT, and today we got a jam-packed show as always. We're going to discuss some interesting comments from Bam Adebayo. Liam Eichenburg got cut, and how that affects this Dolphins team and his impact on the Dolphins, or lack thereof, for being blunt. And to also talk a bit of Panthers hockey and Canes basketball. They're finally ranked. Can you believe that? Finally ranked after so long. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Bam Adebayo. Let's talk about what he had to say about Kalel, where I have the video pulled up right here. We can go ahead and we can watch it right now.
But he wants to learn. He wants to figure it out. And for Spo, man, you just gotta give him the opportunity to make mistakes. Now, sometimes the mistakes be crazy, but as you can see, he's a talent, man. He can get a double-double with his eyes closed, and when you have that type of talent and he's activated, he doesn't do anything but help our defense, help our offense, and big fella can make plays.
So obviously Bam Adebayo really liked what he saw from Kalel Ware this past Saturday, where Kalel Ware, I believe he had a double-double. I'll pull it up right here. I believe he had a double-double. He had 13 points. He had 15 rebounds. And he played the most minutes he's played in a long time, which is 29 minutes, which is, it's been a very long time since he's had that amount of playing time. But he played well, and Bam subsequently played well as well. Now, 24 points, 11 rebounds. Bam Adebayo played very well, and most of his good play came with Kalel Ware on the court. And a lot of people heard this and kind of said, well, what does that say about Spo? Right? What does that say about Spo? Now, this is a comment that is relatively interesting, because he said this a couple of minutes later, I believe. He said this: I want big fella to be out there. I feel like he listens to me. Sometimes he kind of ignores Spo. But I've banked so much equity with him. Obviously, he's got to earn his minutes, but when he's out there with me, I feel like he's definitely gets better. And Kalel Ware went on to comment and said, it's like a brotherhood when talking about Bam. He's been through this before, been through Coach Spo before. So, just listening to him because he's a player also. Okay, so having heard all of this, Heat Nation kind of said, whoa, Spo is kind of being hard on Kalel Ware. He's been hard on him all season. Anybody who's watched Heat basketball knows he's been hard on Kalel Ware for a long time, to the point where even when he plays well, he gets benched anyway. Okay, and the slightest mistake takes Kalel Ware off the court. Is the Spo criticism valid? I think it is. I do think that Spo has a very, very short leash on Kalel Ware, and it's not fair, because he's given long leashes to Nikola Jovic. He's given long leashes to Tyler Hero. And even though Tyler Hero ended up working out, Nikola Jovic, so far into his career, it has not worked out whatsoever. Okay, we're talking about a player who is out of the rotation right now. And he let Nikola Jovic play through his struggles, and it never worked. While Kalel Ware didn't really have struggles when he did play. Not that he had no struggles, but he was putting up tremendous amounts of numbers. But yeah, it didn't matter. And once Tyler Hero came back, Kalel Ware got the short end of the stick. So what does that say? What does that say about Spo? Should we fire him? That's a lot. That's what Heat Nation is kind of proposing a bit. Not completely, but they're not against firing him, given that the Miami Heat have made a plan for 4 straight years now. 4 straight years is crazy. And with a franchise constantly telling you that we're better than our record indicates, that is something that is alarming. That you think of this of your team, and your team is still in the play-in. So what does that say about Coach Spo? Right? So a lot of people said, is it time to move on from Spo? Now, this is kind of crazy, coming off probably one of the bigger wins of the entire season against the Houston Rockets. But it was a genuine question, and these are the comments that sparked such conversation. I want to make this very clear. To act like Coach Spo is without blame through all of this is dishonest. Okay, he's definitely with blame. He is. All right. And even though the Miami Heat have had an interesting year, to say the least, a year where they're probably going to be in the play-in again, there has been no light in the end of the tunnel because there's been a lot of young players. Not a lot of young players have gotten the proper shine, I should be saying. Kalel, Ware, and Kasper Shakushonis, the second-year player and rookie player, respectively, those two haven't gotten the play time that we all think that they should be getting, and because of that, yes, this season has been a bit of a drag, all right? And a lot of people kind of pay no mind to the Heat because their way of playing basketball has become boring, and even though they're number one in pace, it doesn't really matter. They're number one in scoring. It doesn't really matter because we're still in the play-in. So, to act like Spo isn't a problem, isn't one of the problems, is dishonest. However, what I will also say is that he's had way too many good years to want him to be fired over a couple of mid ones. Not bad ones, mind you. He's not bad. It's been average. And average is still unacceptable. But average is better than whatever the heck is going on with the Kings. Right? Average is better than what was going on with the Utah Jazz prior to them trading for Jaren Jackson Jr. Average is unacceptable here, but it could always be so much worse. And I feel like Coach Spo has brought out a lot more fun seasons than overall boring ones, like what's been going on lately. Okay, so I get it. Everybody's kind of hot about how Kalel Ware is being handled, how Kasparis is being handled. But I will also reiterate that Ware is not a perfect player, okay? He's had many defensive miscues. There are times where he's on the court and it seems like he's a bit soft. He's not very active. He's got cement blocks for feet. And sometimes he's so bad out there that, yeah, Spo does need to bench him. Now, do I feel like it's a bit harsh sometimes, where I feel like one mistake and he's gone? Yeah, that's what Spo kind of does. But I will say that unlike with Kalel Ware, it took Bam a pretty short amount of time for Bam to get some level of trust with Spo. Right? When he was drafted, I believe Bam was drafted at around, I think 2018, I think is when he was drafted. He didn't get too much playing time his first 2 years, but by year 3, he was starting. And guess what? He was the second best player on his team by far. Well, maybe outside of Goran Dragic. Now, maybe year 3, we get to see Kalel Ware make that start. But with conversations of him possibly being moved because Giannis is available, at that point, it's like it becomes complicated, right? We need Spo to keep Ware accountable. We do, but we also need him to play because we need to know what we have, right? And I'll also say this, knocking the guy in pressers is not helping anybody. It's not helping you, Spo. It's not helping Kalel Ware, and it's certainly not helping this fan base. So his comments regarding Kalel Ware earlier this season were unacceptable, and honestly, they likely had Milwaukee hesitating to trade for him full on for Giannis. Okay? So, yeah, with that being said, not playing him is not productive. Not playing him is unproductive, and it's come to a point. It's come to a point where I feel like people are just so sick of being this average, that they're starting to become irrational with how they think. They think firing Spo is the solution. I promise you it is not. There are not 3 coaches in the league better than Erik Spoelstra, okay? Is he a bit outdated? Maybe. But is he the coach for the Miami Heat? Absolutely. He is the coach for the Miami Heat, and he gets to be that for as long as he sees fit because he's brought us a tremendous amount of success. So, yeah, even though I understand Coach Spoelstra has, Coach Spoelstra has definitely had his moments this year and last year, and really the last 4 years, if we're being blunt. I'm not tripping. I think Ware is going to turn a corner from that Houston game. I think we're going to start turning a corner. Our next 5 games are very interesting. Our next 2, ironically enough, are against Brooklyn. So if we lose any of these games against Brooklyn, I think that we can call this season a wash. We already called it a wash multiple times earlier this season. If we lose against Brooklyn this year at all, with them being 15-45, one of the best teams in the league, one of the worst teams in the league, and trying to tank actively, if we lose to this team, shame on us. There is no reason we should drop any of these games either tonight or on Thursday, right? None. Our next 5 games, obviously I mentioned the 2 games against Brooklyn, but then we face the Pistons at home, and checking this out, ironically enough, 6 out of our last 7 games are at home. They are at home. So if we can take those 2 against Brooklyn, we can steal one from Charlotte this Friday night. It's going to be difficult because it's going to be a second night of a back-to-back. Beating Detroit is going to be difficult. So I can't guarantee we win that game. But the game against the Wizards, we should beat. Milwaukee, look, man, I'm not giving us any excuses. And then that there's a big game against Orlando. I think that game against Orlando is one of the biggest games of the season. And moving forward, it's going to be very, very challenging. Okay, moving forward, it's going to be very, very important that we win. These playing games just to get out, just to have some separation. So this game against Charlotte that we're going to play this Friday is very important. The game against Milwaukee next Thursday is going to be very important. The game on next Saturday against the Magic, incredibly important. So if we want to get out of the play-in, we cannot drop any of these games that we should be winning. None. Absolutely none. So we'll see what happens. I'm excited because I'm glad basketball means something at this time of year. There have been times where it feels like we shouldn't be in tune, but we should. If the Miami Heat make it out of the play-in, it will be a success. It will be a success. And the fact that we're trading for Giannis, hopefully this summer, maybe things can look up, but straight up, I don't know if this team can. I don't know if I can fully trust this team completely, but I'm going to have to these next couple of games. I'm going to have to. Some good news, some amazing news, ladies and gentlemen, broke out this past, yesterday actually. Some amazing news broke out. It was likely some news that a lot of people wanted to hear. Liam Eichenburg, ladies and gentlemen, has been released. Let me tell you, when I sit here and tell you, I gotta read it. When I sit here and tell you that this guy was one of the worst offensive linemen in Miami Dolphin history, I am not exaggerating. I'm not exaggerating when I say that. I'm not. I'm going to point you guys to the 2022 NFL season, 2021 NFL season. Now, I want to be very clear. Will this be a little unfair? Yeah, kind of, because it was his rookie year. But just to show how bad Liam Eichenburg was, like in the grand scheme of things, just to show how bad, this was his rookie year. In 2021, this man in his rookie year allowed 9 sacks. Read that. 9 sacks. He played tackle for most of this year. Look at that. He played tackle for most of this year. Yes, he did. And guess what? It was a disaster. It was a disaster. This was the year where Tua Tagovailoa, I believe, was in his second year. Can you believe they asked Tua's left tackle, so not his blind side, but Tua's left tackle was one of the worst in all of football. One of the worst in all of football. 9 sacks allowed? 9 sacks is nuts. One of the worst. And on top of that, he had 10 penalties that year. 1,100 snaps played. 10 penalties. That is asinine. That's crazy. And he would never get better. Mind you, he came out of Notre Dame and had 0 sacks allowed as a tackle. We got this guy in the second round. I don't want to call him a bust because it's a second round pick. But when you really think about it, coming out of the draft, allowing 0 sacks, how excited would you be as a Dolphin fan to see that? Knowing we need tackle help. Okay, we're going to start this rookie at tackle, and hopefully he pans out. Not only did he not pan out, he was so bad, we had to switch positions for him. We had to. Because we needed to protect Tua. Absolute disaster. Absolute disaster. Absolute disaster. And this guy is a great example of how bad Chris Grier really was when it came to drafting O linemen. This is not the only bad one, okay? Isaac Asiata is another one. Larnell Coleman, another one. I'm thinking of some. I'm blanking out on some others. But straight up, Michael Dieter, not good. Like, all of these players, so bad. So bad. Michael Dieter was okay. The rest of these players, so bad. He couldn't draft offensive linemen. He hit on some of them. He hit on Robert Hunt. But that's, other than Robert Hunt and maybe Austin Jackson, I can't really say that he hit on the rest of them. And even Austin Jackson's been injured, bro. Injured player. Crazy injured player. So he was a terrible player, and him getting cut honestly was probably the best news we heard. Literally, Chants of USA echoed outside of my workplace when we found out the news. It was pretty bad, let me tell you. It was rough. When I tell you it was a rough go, watching this man try to play tackle, try to play guard. And like, what's incredible is that he played tackle all of his rookie year. They had to play him at left guard his year 2. His year 3, they played him at center. They played him at guard. They played him at guard twice, left guard and right guard. And he never had a good year. He never had a good year in spite of all these. He played 1,100 snaps at right guard. Still 9 penalties, allowed 2 sacks. He had allowed 29 total pressures. He was never very good. Never very good. He just wasn't. Never. And it's a shame that it took us, we wasted our time. Straight up wasted our time that year. It's a good thing we got Jalen Waddle and Jalen Phillips from that draft. I mean, if we would have rounded it out by getting a good tackle, I would have been so happy. But unfortunately, we didn't. Chris Grier failed us. And 2 of those players of our first, 2 of those players that I just mentioned are now off the team. So thank you, Chris Grier. Appreciate that. Appreciate that tremendously. All right. The Florida Panthers. Let's talk about some South Florida news. Other South Florida sports teams. Obviously, on this channel, we prioritize Canes football. My bad. Obviously, on this channel, we prioritize Miami Heat. We prioritize the Miami Dolphins. But we do not ignore other South Florida sports here on this channel. We actually pay attention to every single one of them, right? At least I do. I make sure that I'm informed about Panthers hockey. I'm informed about Canes men's basketball, how bad they are, how good they are. We'll see. I even have a tendency to keep up with men's Canes baseball, which is not very popular. But hey, this is what we do on this channel, okay? This is what we do. The Panthers have lost 2 straight, and their path to the playoff seems more and more difficult, okay? They have 22 games remaining, and honestly, it's going to be very difficult. I'll be blunt. It's going to be very difficult to... If I'm being blunt, I don't see the Florida Panthers even making the playoffs, but we do have an opportunity. Obviously, losing 2 straight does not help, okay? Losing to a team like our divisional rival like the Islanders, right? Losing to a team like the Buffalo Sabres, who are also in our division. We cannot be dropping games in our division this late in the season. We just can't. And I misspoke. The Islanders are not in our division. They're in our conference. They are 7th currently in the Eastern Conference with 75 points and 35 wins, 21 losses, and 5 OT losses. So they've won 8 out of the last 10, the Islanders have, by the way. So take it that what you will. They're a really good team. Yeah, we lost to the Buffalo Sabres, who are a really good team. We lost to the Islanders, who are also a really good team. But we have to put that in the rearview mirror because now we have to face the New Jersey Blue Devils, who are in the tonight, actually, and we have to take care of business against them. They're a 500 team. They're probably not going to make the playoffs at 60 points, but they're not that far off from us. We are at 63 points. So if they have any playoff aspirations, they can do it. They can accomplish them by competing in this game and winning, okay? And they're going to be at home. So tonight is a very, very big game for the Florida Panthers, for the New Jersey Devils as well. We're at the back end of the NHL regular season. The playoffs start next month. So any game right now, every game right now matters. Every game right now. 4 out of our next 5 games are also in this division. So after we play the Devils, we play the Blue Jackets twice. We play the Blue Jackets, we play the Red Wings twice in a row, and then we play the Blue Jackets. Those 4 games, I cannot stress enough, are super important. Now, the Blue Jackets are not in our Eastern... So I just realized the Blue Jackets are not in our division. So apologies there. They are in our conference, and they're also fighting to be in the playoffs. They're at 68 points, 30 wins, 21 losses. They're 10th in the Eastern Conference. So right now, they're above us in the Eastern Conference. They are trying to catch up to the Boston Bruins, who are at 71 points. Right now, the Blue Jackets are, if they these 2 games with the Blue Jackets could not be more important. I gotta say, they could not be more important for us. We have to take both. We have to go on the road and take both. We have to go on the road and take one from the Blue Jackets, and we have to hope we take care of business at home. The games against the Red Wings, they're in division. They matter. We have to win those games. It's gonna be obviously gonna be very difficult because they're a really good team. The Detroit Red Wings are 4th in the Eastern Conference, with 76 points. 35 wins and 20 losses. And 6 OT losses. Look, let me be very blunt here. It's must-win. It's playoff time for the Panthers. It's playoff time. If there's any time to unlock playoff mode, it is right now, okay? These 2 losses that happened, put them in the rearview mirror. Right now, March 3rd, 2026, the push for the playoffs start right now. After the 5 Eastern Conference games, we go on the road. We go and take a Western Conference road trip. We face the Kraken, the Canucks, the Oilers, and the Calgary Flames. Now, the Kraken right now, 6th in the Western Conference with 67 points. Don't laugh at that. You're a child if you do. The Vancouver Canucks, one of the worst teams in the NHL. We should take care of business against them. The Edmonton Oilers are currently in a playoff spot as we speak, but they're not far off from the Predators, who are at 62 points. They are not that far off from the Sharks, who are at 62 points. So the Oilers are fighting for their playoff lives just as much as not as much, but they're fighting to keep their spot in the playoffs. And much like the Panthers are trying to get to the playoffs, I can't stress enough, this Stanley Cup final rematch of the last 2 years is very important. The Calgary Flames aren't very good either. So, I would say two of those games should be gimme games. The games against the Kraken, the game against the Oilers are going to be very difficult. Look, man, I get it. We won back-to-back Stanley Cup finals. I get it. It would be okay. It would be okay for us to miss the playoffs this year, given the injuries. Barkov isn't back. Kachuk was out for an entire year. We were missing guys like Seth Jones for multiple years. Matthew Kachuk, like I said, was out for most of the year. Brad Marchand has been fighting injury as well, right? Jonah Gadjevich, very important enforcer. He's been out. Thomas Nosek has been out too. We've been battling injuries. Okay, it's no secret. But I want to make the playoffs. I do. And if we can lock in this last month and a half to get into the playoffs, I would be very, very happy. I would love playoff basketball, playoff hockey for the Panthers. Just try to defend the cup. Just defend our cup. Just to defend it would be incredible. But we'll see, man. We will see. It is going to be a very, very interesting last month and a half. No shame if we don't make the playoffs. I want to reiterate. No shame if we don't make the playoffs. It's just a bitter season after a magical past 3 seasons that we've had. So let's see if we can pull another 2023 and find a way to make it. Final topic of the day before we wrap up this show. The Miami Hurricanes have now been officially ranked number 22 in the country. The Miami Hurricanes basketball team, to be exact. The odds of making the tournament are incredibly high. So I don't think we should worry about making the March Madness tournament. I think it's gonna happen. I think considering our wins against UNC, the fact that we're third in an ACC that's pretty third in ACC in an ACC with the Duke Blue Devils and the Virginia Cavaliers, and we haven't really been blown out by any of these teams here in the ACC. So I think we're going to be a tournament lock. The last time the Canes were ranked was 2023 December 11th. That year, that was the last time we were ranked, and it's unfortunate that it's taken this long. But like I said, the Jai Lucas era, man, it's been electric. It has been awesome to hear. And speaking of Jai Lucas, I do want to point out this video. That I saw on the timeline very recently. This is Jai Lucas talking to his team at halftime. I believe they were going up against FSU, and they were up. I believe they were up at halftime. And even though they were up by halftime, even though they had 38 points, they were up by 6. Jai Lucas was not satisfied.
We're not doing what we talked about doing on either end. All right? And one, right now, Ernest, it starts with you. You're back walking around. We told you. They double Malik. Don't screen. Don't sit here. Get to the other side to open this up. Be early. Rim run. Your impact on the game is too important for you to be walking around. Yeah. All right? Second part. Guards. We aren't guarding nobody. Nobody. We're doing all this green switching, and we're standing, we're getting out rebound, we aren't cracking and hitting nobody, and then we just let people put us wherever they want to put us. When are we going to have some resistance and some fight? On defense. We're playing good offensively on defense. Ain't shit I got to say about offense. We got 38 points. We're on pace to get 80. You got to take some pride on the other end if we're going to separate ourselves and be the team we talk about being. All right? Guard, take care of the ball. Long shots, long rebounds. We can't be looking at the ball. Go hit somebody, then go get the ball. Everybody got me? Yes, sir. We got to play through contact. Got to play with physicality. Continue to rebound. 3 things. Rebound. Take care of the ball. And guard. We talked about this. This is a fundamental man game. You first the person. And then our rotations and our gaps have to be there. And then we got to scramble. And we got to have each other's back. Everybody got me? 20 minutes. Let's lock in and get out of here with a win.
Woo-wee. Oh, I love that. I love that from Jay Lucas, man. I absolutely love that. And let me tell you something, man. Shout out to Coach L. All-time great Canes basketball coach. He's led us to the best season in Miami Hurricanes basketball history. I don't know if he has that fire, if he had that same fire as Jay Lucas just had right now. I don't know if he had that same fire. I could be wrong. You know what? I feel like I'm not giving Coach L enough credit. Maybe he did have that fire. I feel like later on, his voice kind of became. It wasn't as powerful as it was, and it kind of showed on the court. Back-to-back mid-seasons, one of the worst seasons in Canes basketball last year. It felt like Coach L's time, his time was up, and that was fine because he did so much for us. But I don't know if he stays. I don't know if he gets this kind of speech. I don't know if he has this kind of season. I don't know if he's straight up like that, if I'm being blunt. So, yeah, Jay Lucas, I can't stress enough how important he has been to Canes basketball. The Hurricanes travel to Dallas tomorrow to take on SMU. That's going to be a big game on the road. I think we're locked in as the third seed. I believe we're locked in as the third seed in this ACC. But creeping behind us is Clemson. Clemson is only a game behind us. The Tar Heels, Clemson, the University of North Carolina, the Tar Heels are not far behind us. They're also a game back, and they've made up some ground. They've won 3 straight games. Tomorrow's game really is important because these next 2 games are very important because they decide seeding. I don't want to be a fourth seed. I want to be able to be a top 3 seed in this ACC. So facing SMU, we should take care of business there. As for Clemson, they face North Carolina. So those 2 are going to cancel each other out. If I'm being blunt, I would prefer North Carolina win because if North Carolina wins, we have the tiebreaker over North Carolina because we beat North Carolina. So I would prefer North Carolina take care of business and beat Clemson tonight, and we won't have to worry too much about the third seed. However, I will say I think the season finale is against Duke for UNC. I believe it is. Yes, it is. So maybe we'll be fine. Maybe we'll be the third seed regardless if we lose these next 2 games or not. But I prefer not to keep it in Clemson or North Carolina's hands. I personally prefer that we just straight up win out. Speaking of North Carolina, I think it's absolutely bogus that they're ranked number 17. I do. I think it's bogus. So Miami beat them not too long ago by 9 points, and we controlled the game. We absolutely controlled the game. We did. Since then, they beat Pitt. Not that impressive. Pitt isn't good. Then they got blown out by NC State on the road. We beat NC State on the road, okay? We did. We beat them. It was a tough game, but we beat them. They got blown out by 24. So why in the world is North Carolina... And since then, they've had wins against what? Against Syracuse, against Louisville, and against Virginia Tech. How in the world does that warrant them being ranked higher than us? Maybe it's because we lost to Virginia. But I don't think North Carolina should be ranked that high. I get it. They beat Duke. I get that. They beat Duke and they beat Virginia, so maybe that's why they were on the road. But I personally think the fact that we beat them matters. The fact that we beat them matters. So I don't know. Maybe I'm being delusional. Maybe North Carolina is a lot better than I give them credit for, but we controlled that game against North Carolina at home. I get it. They recently got blown out by NC State. I get it. They won 3 straight at Syracuse, against Louisville by 3, and against Virginia Tech. I get that. I understand that. I don't know if I agree with it, though. I don't know if they should be ranked that much higher. I don't know if they should be ranked at 17th considering our resume. But it's North Carolina. I don't expect them to favor the Miami Hurricanes over North Carolina. Please give me a break. But we'll see. We will see. I think these next two games for the Canes basketball, I don't know if they're a must win because I think we're gonna make the tournament anyway. We're gonna make the tournament, and our odds in the ACC tournament I think are pretty high. I think we can beat any team in the ACC, but we can also lose to any team. So we gotta make sure that we're sharp there. But I think regardless, this year has been a tremendous success, and let's finish strong. Let's beat SMU. Let's beat Louisville at home. It's been a fun year, and let's just finish it out strong. Let's finish it out strong. It's what a turnaround. Like I said, what a turnaround by Jai Lucas, and hopefully we end this year with a deep tourney run and maybe an ACC tournament championship. That's gonna do it for today's episode of the Dallas Sports Pod. Please subscribe if you're new. Like and comment your thoughts on the topics we discussed today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Dale.